welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hasseman, and today I have a brand new rock star. We've had a chance to talk just a little bit before we started recording, and it was been really fun. I'm excited to dig in today. She's the co-founder and CRO at Hello Audio, Nora Sudduth. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to dive right in because, we hear all the time about, hey, if you want to market your business, you got to be using video. You got to use video to promote your brand. And I hear you talking about audio. So why do you think audio and why we should be using audio to promote our brand?
Absolutely. Well, and I'm not anti-video.
Right.
Like, I just want to get that because even Amy Porterfield asked, because she's a user of Hello Audio, and she came out and she said, "Are you anti-video?" And I said, absolutely not. And audio is just easier. Video is great.
Yep.
Audio is easier. And so when it's easier, it's both easier, I think, for the creator. So as someone who has created a few seven-figure certification and coaching programs, I know what it takes. And if you're listening to this and you've created a course or a coaching program, you know what it takes to get on camera.
Yeah.
It's not always easy for folks. If you're out there and you want to monetize your expertise, creating the thought of creating PowerPoint slides and getting camera ready for the and then video editing, you're like, oh, maybe I should just do something else.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's right.
this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And it's, so even just the thought of creating something that packages your expertise or packages your experience in an audio form, you don't need fancy equipment. You can use a $12 lapel mic. They have so many different remastering tools. We have one built straight into Hello Audio. You click a button, it remasters it for you. So it makes it sound like you're a pro anyway. And you don't have to worry about all of that other stuff. So it's a lot easier. It's a lot faster to create. And from a listener experience, from your audience's standpoint, it fits into, if you think about when you yourself as a consumer, you've purchased a course, you've purchased a coaching program, how would it feel if someone packaged all of that content up and put it into a private podcast that you could just put in your pocket and listen whenever, on the go, walking the dog, doing the dishes?
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, that content consumption fits into those times of the day where you don't necessarily want to be tied to this screen, right? It unlocks all of those hours of the day that you're not sitting here. And let's face it, if we can avoid sitting here for more hours than we absolutely need to, we're probably going to get out of the house and do something or walk around. And so you're able to actually reach your audience more hours of the day than you would with video, which I think is really impactful.
This is very interesting. I haven't heard anybody talk about this, but I find it to be true in my life. When people talk to me about, hey, did you watch my video or did you, I listen to podcasts when I'm running, when I'm mowing, when I'm doing things. So I don't get me wrong, I still watch a lot of video, but I do it a little bit more sporadically. So I think your point is super well taken. And you mentioned something just in your answer there where you talked about private podcasts. Now I've heard about public podcasts. I guess it was never even called public podcasts. It was just podcasts.
Just podcasts.
Yeah. So talk to me about what a private podcast is.
Absolutely. So most people, when they hear the word podcast, they think about shows like this. This is an amazing public podcast. Everyone can subscribe, which, by the way, if you're not, you should hit that button and make sure that you're subscribed to it. But it's a great way for you to get out there and interview folks and meet new people and just be able to share your expertise. And it's not for everyone. Being a podcaster, not everyone wants to be a podcaster, but that doesn't mean that they can't use the communication vehicle of that podcast app to reach their audience. So what we've done with private podcasts, they operate, they play in the same apps that your public podcasts do, those shows, but they also allow you to protect that content. So they're not available to the general public. People have to opt in or maybe even purchase. You can make it like it's gated in some way, either through an email opt-in or through a purchase. And you as the creator get to control who gets access to it and for how long. And you can do some pretty cool stuff with private podcasts in terms of the delivery than you can with public podcasts. For example, in a public podcast, right, everyone gets the same information at the same time. You're going to release this episode on a specific date. Everyone who subscribes or who listens is going to get this episode on that date. With private podcasts, you can choose to kind of choose a different delivery method. So you can do date-based. Everyone
Mhm.
can get the same content on the same date. That's fine, just like a normal conventional public podcast.
Okay.
But what you can do is create now evergreen dripped content. So
Okay.
that means if you ran an evergreen challenge, or maybe you were doing a 30-day meditation sequence or something like that, my day one would be when I opted in and I asked, raised my hand, yes, please give me this content. Your day one would be maybe next week when you raised your hand, but we would get our delivery schedule would be based on when we opted in. So now you can kind of run these
Mm.
things a little bit different. And with private podcasts, because they're tied to a unique email address, I know exactly when you specifically with your email address are listening to the content. So I have more visibility into what you're interested
Mm.
in, what content you seem to be interested in or not interested in. So I can now give you more relevant information. And what we've done at Hello Audio, which no one is doing with private podcasts, because there's some companies out there that are doing a great job with private podcasts. We took it one step further and we used listener tagging. So kind of like your CRM that you may
Mhm.
use for like emails or kind of keeping track of your customer list, we use segmentation based on tags. So I can tag you as a buyer, I can
Mm.
tag someone else as a non-buyer, and you guys could be subscribed to the same exact private podcast feed. But now I'm slipping you content based on those
Mm.
tags. So now I'm able to tailor the episode delivery based on tags instead of everyone getting the same content at the same time. So now you're able to do some pretty ninja stuff with private podcasts than you couldn't do with conventional public podcasts.
And I think I want to say publicly that I'm in favor of doing ninja stuff
I
when
love
it
ninja
comes.
stuff. Yeah.
Right? That's really interesting. I'll be honest, I've not heard of this at all. This is brand new to me.
It's
So
new.
yeah, it's really interesting. So you touched on it a little bit, but like let's say, all right, I'm gonna modify my question to you a little
Yep.
bit. Okay.
Sure.
So I'm doing a thing called Better Business U, Better Business University, betterbusinessu.com. It's not a commercial, but it'll make sense in my question. So I'm doing video content, right? Like that's, it's a video talking about how to get more done or how to do goals
Oh,
or
I love it.
sales or whatever, right? This sounds really interesting. So how would you recommend that maybe, because the content, much of it is done, right?
Mhm.
How could I use private podcasts to deliver value in that?
Absolutely. So if you had, I assume this is a sold product, right?
It
You're
is.
selling this product. So
Yep.
people purchase it, you're giving them access based on the unique email address that they
Yep.
said, yes, I'm signing up for. So you've got everyone's unique email address already. You can actually take all the videos, drag and drop them. So in bulk, we at
Mm.
Hello Audio will strip the audio for you. So you
Mm.
don't even need to worry about the tech
Mm.
because that's usually where people are like, I hate
Right.
this. Tech
Yeah.
is
Right.
I'm allergic to technology, all the things. We'll actually take the audio out for you, and you actually can in minutes. So we have over 70% of our users create their first feed in less than a day, which
Wow.
is actually a stat that we're very proud of because with most tech tools,
It's
it's
hard.
hard to get
Yep.
started, and most people have that objection of like, oh gosh, I don't want to learn another piece of technology. But you could literally drag and drop all your videos. It would create the feed for you almost automatically. You might want to change the order, you might want to make a couple edits, whatever it is that you want to do. You can add those listeners who are already paid, or we have automations with Zapier that you can do it all
Mm-hmm.
automatically if
Yep.
that's your
Yep.
thing, right? And then you're able to now give people, your buyers, this content in a new way, in a new
Yeah.
medium that just makes consumption so much easier. And that's, we look at course creators, we look at completion rates for courses, we look at show up rates for coaching calls, which
Right.
is usually a big objection in the sales process, by the way.
Right.
Like, hey, I can't make it to that call, so I'm not going to buy. But if you're able to make this content easier for people to listen to, they will. Like, it's not rocket
Mm.
science. That's just kind of what it is, right? And if they listen to the content, they're going to get the result that they wanted when they bought the stuff, right?
Right. Which is the
You're going
point.
to be able to deliver on your promise, which is all of us listening to this. Like, we care about our people, we care about delivering on our results. And something like a private podcast that's so easy to implement is that much more valuable to your audience to allow them to get the results that they want.
That's super interesting, Nora. I really appreciate you telling me about this. This is really interesting. Okay, final question for me. This has been awesome. What's a mistake you see brands making when promoting themselves? And if you can, what suggestions do you have to fix it?
Absolutely. So I have spent years gosh, I don't even know how many funnels I have reviewed up. And so I spent time and I partnered with Russell. I've, built
Right.
ClickFunnels, a few 7-figure programs there. So I've seen a lot of funnels, and there's a lot of talk about funnels, and you're one funnel away and it's all about the funnel. And it's, people get so stuck, and businesses get stuck on the vehicle. All a funnel is the vehicle that delivers your marketing conversation.
Right.
That's all it is. It doesn't matter if you're choosing a webinar or an email sequence or a video sequence or a private podcast. Where I think the biggest mistake businesses make when they're promoting their brand is they focus on, okay, I have 7 emails. Okay, 3 videos, versus, okay, take a step back. Let's remove all, like, who cares how you're delivering it for just 1 second.
Right.
Put that off to the side. I want you to architect the customer conversation first. I want you to really think about, how am I like the conversation starter? How am I opening this conversation? Where are they? I'm meeting them where they at. Where are they at? What do they believe right now that we might need? There's some false beliefs that we need to work on. What are the epiphanies that they need to have in order for them to be in a place where they need to buy? If you just take a step back from all the stuff, the sequences, the chat bots, all the stuff that delivers this message, and just say, okay, let me focus on mapping out the message itself, most marketing would be so much more effective if they just did that first. Then they can figure out how to deliver. It starts with the customer conversation. That's the biggest mistake by far. Every single marketing campaign I've ever helped optimize, if they would have started there, they would have had better results.
It goes back to the idea that just like building a house, you have to have the foundation first, right?
Yes.
And I'll be the first to admit, as an entrepreneur, I tend to rush in too, ready, fire, aim.
It's easier.
But I think that's great advice. Nora, this has been super interesting. I really appreciate you taking the time. I would love it if we do it again sometime. Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.